Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. We are pleased to be joined by Joey Robertson. How's it going, man?
It's going, just staying busy and preparing for the summer.
All right. So kind of just kind of tell everybody what you do and just kind of introduce yourself a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm Joey Robertson. I'm a senior here at the Virginia Tech Sports Media and Analytics program. I'm from Roanoke, Virginia, which is about 45 minutes away from Blacksburg, and kind of grew up being a Virginia Tech fan and was always just basically a Hokie from birth. And once I kind of like got through my high school days, I realized that like that MLB dream was a bit too far
Yeah.
out of reach. And so I said, all right, what do I like to do? Well, I like sports. Let's try and make a career out of this. And got to Virginia Tech. And within, I want to say it was like the first 2 weeks of the first semester, found out about this small student broadcasting organization called 3304 Sports, where it's student run, but our mentor is the voice of the Virginia Tech Hokies for many, many years, Bill Roth. Um, Found out about it, went to the first meeting, and I was hooked. And basically, what we can do in that is it's our own little ESPN here at Virginia Tech. We can go out, broadcast Virginia Tech athletic events, write, do podcasts, do studio shows, graphics, basically anything you can think of sports media related. That's what we do. And got on for my first broadcast. It was I want to say it was the spring of 2019 or 2020. It was Virginia Tech baseball versus East Tennessee State here for like the opening game of that season. And I don't want to go back and listen to that reel. I don't want to listen to that call. I've
Yeah.
grown exponentially
Yeah.
from that, but it's actually kind of a full circle moment. I've called every single Virginia Tech home opener of each season here since I've been at Tech, and this year it was East Tennessee State, so it was kind of like a full circle moment.
Yeah.
It was like, wow, okay, you're gonna give me the same opponent that I started with to basically kind of end my college career here. So through this organization though, I mean, I can't thank them enough. They have been so supportive. I mean, our mentality is be a Swiss Army knife in the industry, right? So even you could be the broadcaster for a summer league team, and you got to be able to write, you got to be able to do studio shows, you got to be able to do interviews and everything like that. So our time in this organization has really just kind of cemented that like all around skill as far as being able to do everything or a little bit of everything to the best of your ability. And I think it's really shown in my progress so far through my time here at Tech.
So what is your favorite sport to call?
Baseball, 100%.
Okay. So how'd you fall in love with baseball?
Man, uh, ever since I was little, like I just loved the sport. I had a passion for it throughout my entire childhood. That was like, I mean, spring season came around, like you just hit a different level of excitement, and it's very interesting to see like how that excitement has stayed with me throughout all of my years. Like even into middle school and high school ball, that excitement never wavered. And even to this day now, I mean, season's coming up and you get excited as a broadcaster. You're like, man, I get to call baseball. Like this is gonna be awesome. I'm just a baseball nut, basically. I love the sport. I live and breathe it. I'm always finding out different. You like with the sport of baseball, you're always learning. So whether it's a video online or something that you hear on a professional broadcast, you're always gaining more knowledge about the sport, and that's also what I like about it.
Yeah. So do you have a favorite do you have a favorite team you root for outside and like if like a professional team or something?
Yeah, I'm a Nationals fan. It's been a rough 2 years,
Yeah.
more or less
Okay.
three and a half, but 2019 was really fun.
All right. What's the most difficult sport to call in your opinion? that you've had to deal with?
It's a tough question. Yeah, I'd say it's a tie between football and basketball.
Okay.
Basketball is extremely hard to call at a high level. I mean, the pacing is the biggest thing that I've been trying to work on throughout this winter. And it all comes with repetition, but still, like, it takes a lot of reps to finally get that down. And I'm still not there yet. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's still a work in progress, but even just looking up a YouTube video of like a basketball highlight and calling that in my room, like on voice memos or something, just to get better and keep practicing. It's also, everything happens so quick. And so something could happen in the play where it's like, okay, they throw it over into the corner, and then all of a sudden it's right back out to the top of the key, and you've got to be on point and say that on a dime. And especially if a shot goes up too. And I think sometimes the ball movement, I remember we were down in Greensboro for I want to say it was, or no, it wasn't in Greensboro. It was here at home. Virginia Tech was playing Syracuse, and they were trying to beat the Syracuse zone defense, and our ball movement was so quick. I mean, I remember looking at my broadcast partner saying, "Dude, I'm barely able to keep up with how quick we're passing right now. Like, this is insane." And then football is tough just because it's also fast paced, but you're trying to fit as much information as possible into your broadcast. And so sometimes it's a little hard to incorporate your prep as far as like a storyline, especially since we call all of our games like on the radio basically, but they're YouTube archive broadcasts. It's a little tough to um, it's not like on TV where you can just talk about a story as the play's going on. Like, you've got to be able to say the play and then try and incorporate the story into that. And that's one of the things that you kind of learn in like your second year of broadcasting, as far as like, okay, how do I make this work? And sometimes the pieces click, and then other times it kind of falls apart on you a little bit. But I mean, you just kind of roll with the punches.
Yeah. What's been the most memorable thing that you've gotten to call?
All right, there are a couple. So me being a Virginia Tech fan since birth, I always thought it'd be the coolest thing to call a game in Lane Stadium. And I got the opportunity to do that back in the fall, Virginia Tech versus Georgia Tech. Even though Hokie football isn't exactly where we were, gosh, maybe a decade ago, it was still surreal getting to see Inner Sandman from high atop of the top of Lane Stadium, and being able to witness something so cool. And it's like you get a much better appreciation for the little traditions here. There was that, and then I had the privilege of calling the Virginia Tech Virginia upset here in this year, where Virginia Tech knocked off number 5 in the nation. Virginia was basically just fell flat on their face, and Castle Coliseum was electric. It was so cool to see and be able to call that moment. I had the second half of the broadcast, so I was able to, call that they knocked off Virginia. It was really cool moment. I'd say probably those two.
Okay. That was basketball or
Yes.
this year. So
Yes.
I know that I know that those two have had a lot of big things, and there's been a lot of things that happened between those two schools. So I wondered. So also, what are your plans for the summer?
So this summer, I've been hired by the Fond du Lac Dock Spiders up in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, to work as their voice of uh, their team. And that they play in the Northwoods League, which is one of the premier collegiate summer baseball leagues. So I'm very excited about that. Currently grinding out a media guide for them. It's a lot of research, but I am super excited, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity that they have provided to me to get better, and also just to enjoy baseball more. Like last summer, I was down in Moorhead City, and just being around those guys and being able to hear their stories and kind of interact with them on a daily basis. And then all of a sudden, midway through the season, we're out on the field just throwing a football around before a game, and it's the day of the MLB draft, and they're getting calls. And I remember I'm standing there throwing a football with one of our relief pitchers. He says, "Hold on, I got a call." Looks down, it's the St. Louis Cardinals, and he just got drafted. That was a surreal moment. That is something that I will never forget. It's so cool to watch their dreams come true right in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like you get to know them as like, okay, like here's Matt Hickey from Tarleton State and throws 95 from a sidearm slot and has a nasty curveball. And it's like, okay, not a lot of scouts are showing up to our games, and all of a sudden he's drafted. It's kind of surreal.
Yeah. You're going to be graduating also in a few weeks too. Um,
Yeah.
talk about your time here and what you've been able to accomplish, because this is probably something you're never, ever, 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 ever going to forget.
Yeah, I once again I can't thank the Virginia Tech comm department here. Bill Roth, our mentor, Evan Hughes, has been a tremendous part of my growth here at Virginia Tech. Tyler Katz, our sports director now of 3304 Sports, and actually my roommate. Um, he, all of them, I, I I owe everything that I have achieved to them. They have been able to put me on the right path, show me, hey, here's what to do, here's what not to do as a broadcaster, and also let me be myself and be so inviting, including into some freshman who had walked into a room of 13 people and was just like, hey, I'm interested in this. They kind of took me under their wing and nurtured me, let me grow, let me be myself, which was another big thing. They didn't try and change me into someone that I'm not. So I can't thank them enough. And then just the overall learning aspect here, I went from not even knowing how to call any other sports to now being able to call three sports pretty well. And then also learning everything else on the grand scheme of broadcasting. So how to do game notes, how to have your own talk show, which is what I did in Morehead City. And that was something brand new to them. I pitched them the idea saying, hey, I want to do this. It's like a sit down interview show called The Fish Tank with Joey Robertson. They were all for it. Um, just being able to learn how to conduct yourself on a daily basis, and also how to deal with the strains of broadcasting as far as your voice going down after calling 3 straight weeks of summer ball and being able to get it back to strength or find new ways to kind of save your voice a little bit in the same at the same time as you're broadcasting. I mean, I have grown exponentially here at Virginia Tech. It's the best decision that I've ever made, 100%. And I'm going to miss those guys dearly once I depart. But hopefully, we'll always all have a reunion sometime down the road and just kind of look back and think, wow, we were a bunch of college kids and we were doing this. And we're getting opportunities that not a lot of schools around the country do. We, as a organization, took 8 kids down to Greensboro this past winter to call the 2023 ACC men's basketball tournament.
Yep.
And while we were there, we called all games of the tournament, which no other Syracuse didn't do that. They were only there for the Syracuse games. We were able to meet and connect with the actual voices of the big time names, Jay Billis, Reese Davis, Jordan Cornette, Kelsey Riggs. I'm trying to remember all of them. Dave O'Brien was there. We kind of did like a student media seminar, and they all came and spoke and really gave a lot of advice, a lot of good advice. Dan Schulman was another one as well. Just getting to walk along those guys and see how they conduct themselves on a daily basis was an experience that, I mean, you can't get anywhere else. And we're our goal here at 3304 is to be the best collegiate broadcasting program in the country. And we had a Jim Nantz Award winner in Evan Hughes 2 years ago that really kind of put us on the map. We were kind of growing and growing and growing. And then all of a sudden, boom, that happened. And everyone's like, oh, Virginia Tech, where'd they come from, basically? And now sports media has become a major here at Virginia Tech. We have a whole new school of communication just because, and I think in part due to our work at 3304, we went from a organization around 13 kids to now 60, and we're starting to recruit and recruit hard around the country. We have a couple of guys coming in from Connecticut this next year that are really good, and the kid in high school calls basketball games for Iona. It's kind of crazy to, yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about as far as some of the talent that we have coming in to Virginia Tech, and to really make this the spot for collegiate broadcasting.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, Joey, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us, and congrats on your time there. And I know you've got a few more weeks left, and then best of luck this summer, bud.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.